Hi, it's Mark Owen from Moose Marketing and PR, the editor of Punchline magazine. Welcome to Punchline Talks, and today we're with James Strickland, 50% of the Giro that set up Amiga recruitment a long time ago. I think a long time ago, and finally reached to a turnover 150 million quid. And you sold it a couple of years ago. Welcome, James.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome, Mark. Nice to see you.
Really nice to see you. I can see you've got your Neptune Rum there, and that's obviously where you've ended up. But
Yeah,
I'd like to talk to you first of all about your journey, because I know it was three mates, wasn't it?
yeah,
Tell us
yeah.
a little bit about Amiga and that you went through.
That was a great opportunity back in 1998. We three guys, Alan Beresford, a guy called Raymond Pugh, and myself. We borrowed 18 grand from a nice bank manager in Stroud under the small loans guarantee scheme, and we set a business up called Amiga Resource Group that specialised in engineering and technical recruitment. And basically we started it with the three of us, and we grew the business over 20 years. During that period, we opened up a business in Cheltenham called Amiga Engineering Services, which was outsourced engineering contract work, mainly in the aerospace sector, doing fixed price outsourced engineering work, design, manufacture, mainly test equipment, and that was on the back of GE in Cheltenham. And during the period, we also set up a business called Datum RPO, which was driven by technology, and that managed high agency labour spend, kind of anything over £10 million, up to about, our biggest client was about 30 million. And we grew the business by managing their agency labour from a spend, compliance, HR perspective through a technology platform. And that really was a solution that the industry was looking for, very innovative, and it was hugely successful. So during that period, we grew the business from obviously just the three of us. We ended up in Stonehouse in a head office at Bonds Mill. We had 150 staff, full back office. We got to about 150 million, generated about 11 million of margin, which was absolutely fantastic. And we went through the 2008 recession. So we had a challenge during that period, and more importantly, coming out of that period was hard works, kind of 11, 12, 13. And then we kind of looked to our strategy. So we looked at having contracted revenue, making sure the business was very compliant. And then we were looking at our options, and actually we were looking at some private equity deals where we could grow by some acquisitions. So we had a plan, and we worked with a business in Bristol called Shaw & Co, who helped us doing some strategy work, going out to private equity. We went out to private equity, and they were very keen. The business was very, it created an awful lot of cash, and it with profitability was very good. And we actually had 4 offers within private equity. And then we thought we'd go and what they call if any business people out there ever get to this stage in life, they call them fireside chats, where you go out and speak to a few people in the trade about you might be selling a recruitment business in our case. And we went out and had fireside chats, and went out to 7 different companies, and actually we had 7 offers. So it was got a bit exciting at that point. And then a big PLC, UK PLC business that's about £1 billion turnover, just came in with a fantastic offer, and we accepted it, and we sold it on the 28th of September 2018, which was a very memorable day at 9:50 in the evening. But it was a fantastic business. It was very secure from a contract perspective. It was a solid revenue. It was all driven by service. and it was an absolutely fantastic journey.
You made that sound really easy, mate. If you don't mind me
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So I got to wrap you back a little bit, because you're three young guys in your 20s. I was working in the newspapers and the Citizen Echo at the time, and I remember you popping up, winning awards. I was in my 30s, you're in your early 20s, thinking, oh, where you suddenly came on the scene. All three of you like blazing. Your PR and marketing, to be fair, I thought was just excellent. Being a marketeer myself.
Yeah.
So where did that relationship come from? Where did that trust come from? Was it?
Fantastic question, really. I was at school actually with Alan Beresford. So Alan and I were at school in Stroud in Marley. We went off to college. He went off to Southampton. He went off to Portsmouth. I went off to Southampton, and we kind of stayed in touch. He when he graduated, he went off and did straight into recruitment, really, and I went into the booze industry, which we'll probably come on to in a little while, talking about Neptune Rum. And
you got the branding early there, mate.
Yeah, and Alan very much thought about the idea of setting a recruitment business up. And we were good friends. And in the meantime, Ray had worked with Alan as well, and Ray wanted to be involved. And that's where it all came in. So, the whole business, talking about trust, it was very, very good from that perspective. We had our misunderstandings through the journey, but we never fell out. We always ran the business very compliantly.
Stop you there. How did you do that? Because normally three doesn't work in business. Two is a partner, sometimes fall apart, but three is normally problematic because two normally picks on the other one, or vice versa.
We were very much the opposite opinion of that. We actually felt that three people was better than two, from a kind of a voting, or if two agree, then the one can overlap. Whereas if you get two and you both disagree, you kind of end up in this middle level. What do you actually do? And I guess our thought behind that was that actually three could create something much bigger than two, in as much that, and as the business developed and we had these different businesses, actually it proved to be very successful, because you had Ray that was very much focusing on the datum RPO business that was just taking off. Every big client in the UK was interested in talking to us. You had Alan, who was very, very good at the engineering side of the business, and also we had the outsourced engineering in Cheltenham. And I was very good at kind of winning those big contracts, and also looking at the strategy and where the business was going, and challenging that kind of plan. And so the three of us really worked very, very well, because Alan was very trusted in his division, and Ray was very trusted in his division, and I was too. So actually the three of us was very powerful.
As you were in recruitment, I would imagine that one of the biggest problems with a growing business is getting the right people, always from 2 to 3 and then to 5, and growing it. So obviously with you working within the recruitment business, it maybe wasn't too hard, but who was the sort of next guy that came along? The number 4 that's not spoken about. There's sort of 3 amigos. Who was the 4th?
I'm very pleased you asked me that question, because it was a lady called Joanne Dummer who we recruited one evening on a Saturday night when we were out having a few beers, and she came up and said, "You've got a office, you're looking for an office manager." And she said, "I've just qualified from college. I've not got all the experience that you're looking for, but I'm a really hard worker, and I'd really like the job. And I was a bit afraid of applying for the job, but now I've seen you, I'd really like to chat to you about it." And Alan and I and Ray said, "Listen, why don't you, this was on a Saturday, why don't you come to us on a Sunday morning and at the office?" And I actually wrote that Joe is coming to the office at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. So when I woke up the following morning, I knew it was there and I hadn't forgotten. And we went to meet Joe, and Joe said, I'm not leaving until I've got the job, really. I like you guys and I'd like the job. So we took Joe on, and actually Joe went all the way through. So Joe did the full stint with us all the way through the journey. And that back office part of a business is, extremely important when you're trying to recruit talent for businesses. A lot of people in recruitment think that it's kind of front end, it's all about the advertising and the recruiter, but actually the back office play a big part in recruiting the right people, to recruit the right people, and they play a big part in obviously making sure the machine is slick and it's running well, and we're looking for good people and good talent. So that whole back office business grew to a really fun group of people, actually, that really liked the culture. They liked we were very big into charity and supporting different organisations, and every year we used to have a different charity that we worked with to raise money. And the back office team were great. So Joe played a big part in that, and she came all the way through the journey. So I guess 2 years on since we sold, that group of people behind us essentially were missed, to be honest.
And your next step after that, then, so when you were the three of you started to grow these different sections, what was the key to that? I mean, how did you sort of grow those individual parts and keep a handle on it all? As it grew, you got more and more people.
Again, it comes back to having, one of my big believers in any business. It's about the people that you've got around you. So we had a very, very good. I remember recruiting our HR manager, being a big decision because it was a big cost. Likewise, I also remember taking on our FD, and our finance team was just invaluable. Our finance director was very driven by making sure the business had enough liquidity, holding us back in some ways, during that journey, particularly as we came out of the recession in 12, 13, 14. We kind of watching our business a bit because of cash is king, and really, so by having a good FD, by having a good HR, by having a good back office and payroll team, that was very, very important. And in addition to that, one of the best things we ever did is we had an operations, we had an ops team underneath the exec team. So, three of us sat on the exec team, and underneath us we had an operations, an ops team, a management team, really, that was incentivized through an EMI scheme, and that proved very, very good as well. So we had really good people. They just loved working in the business, and we created a culture that in recruitment in particular that you kind of need, and in any business, I think, as you kind of grow it. But we were always geared up for being big. We never thought we'd be small. We thought we'd go and be big, which is kind of driven by that desire. I think we wanted to try and achieve that goal. There is a saying in that sector that only 5% of recruitment businesses ever actually get to do an exit. I totally understand that point, and we were very driven by making it bigger and desirable.
The people that you talked about, your backroom, obviously your FD, Joe, what's the key thing that one should look for in those people? Because technically they're stepping into your shoes, aren't they? They're running the business for you. So yeah. What couple of tips would you give to other business people in the same sort of position?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in, people, wanting a career really and wanting to be part of that success. So when you talk to people about what your plans are and what your desire is to, and where you want to kind of, what you want to achieve, finding those people that kind of want to come on that journey, and in many ways wanting to get stuck in, because when the going gets tough, you need people that can, be flexible, that can perhaps do things that they don't normally do in a business, but you need them to do them because it's the need for to get through those difficult periods. And certainly flexibility and understanding was very good. But equally, we actually looked at that as trying to achieve that as a culture. So I was a really big believer in having a kind of as much kind of flexibility as I could, within reason, but being flexible as you can with your staff, to understand that everybody has individual problems at some point and they do need that support. So that was driven by just a culture that was great, and we rewarded people well, and we had a really a really good package, and we had a lot of fun as well. It wasn't just always about the work.
With you, what's the sort of, when you talk about this success, what was the sort of biggest failure or mistake that you made along the journey to get to where you are now? What's the one thing you would change?
What's the one thing I would change if I were, well, I've learned a lot, so if I do it again, I'm going to do it quicker, because you learn by your mistakes. I think you can get tempted into doing projects or doing things in business that take you off your strategy that you've kind of set. And a very good example of that was that we opened up a business in Australia that at the time was based on the back of a contract, so it was a good reason to go and do it. But what it meant was that I spent 2 weeks every 5 weeks flying down to Australia, and actually that took the focus out of what we were actually trying to do back in the UK. And again, it comes back down to what you want out of a business, really. And when you set that plan to what you want from a business, the important thing is that you focus on that plan. So it doesn't really matter what that plan is. It can be a lifestyle business, and then you can build that plan around a lifestyle business. It can be just a regional business or a family business that you want your children to look after and be involved in. But I was never driven by that. I was driven by always building something that I wanted to exit at some point.
So you built it really to sell. That was always your plan.
Yeah, it was always the plan. Yeah, because I just believe that once that's just me. I'm a big believer in in those sort of transactions and M&A. But that was just our focus, really. We were always building it to be big and compete with the multinationals. So we came up against them, all the time in the big tenders. We were, just regionally around Gloucestershire, that one of the biggest contracts we had was in Honda at the automotive plant. And we were up against the big players in the market. So you have to be a bit different. You have to compete. And you have to offer a service and solution that is different, that the customer and the client believe is a better service than what they'll get from a multinational. And invariably you can do that because you've got more flexibility, you've got a more flexible team, you're able to do things that they can't do quickly. So when the going gets tough, you can say, we will do this and we will do that. And as long as you can produce that, generally you can compete with the big boys. And I think a lot of businesses shy away from that. They often think that, I hear it quite a lot, where I'm not going to go for that tender because I'm never going to win it. But if you're not in it, you're never going to win it. And if you don't want to build the business to ever be in it, never moan about not being in it. You understand the point. You can't kind of.
I think you can make it into a song. Actually,
if you want to compete with it, then you need to have a business that can do it. And when you win one, you win two, and when you win two, you win six. And certainly that with the Dayton business, it was just a service and solution in the sector that the market really wanted, and it was fantastic.
When do you come to the stage where you think, right, guys, this is it now? This is the time to sell. Or just the offers came in, you just couldn't refuse.
I guess.
Because it's your baby at the end of the day, isn't it? You grew it. It must be hard to suddenly let go of it and then walk away.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the whole journey in business generally is you never get to walk away from a business on exit. Generally, unless you've got a 20, 30, I don't know, a long-standing business where you've got somebody wants to carry on. But generally, certainly in the recruitment space, and I would argue in many M&A deals, they generally want to keep hold of the exec team for a period. So I was always programmed to do what they call an earn-out, and do that. But when that earn-out question came up when I was selling the business, my answer to that was that I'm totally prepared to do it. I will do it, as long as you don't take the culture out of the business. So if you let me run the business how it is today, and I will continue to do that for the next 2 or 3 years, depending on how long that earn-out is, of course I will do that. But if you're asking me to make a lot of cost savings to do this acquisition, then actually I don't believe that we're going to get the same result. So that's how I felt, really. And regarding your question about when is the right time to sell, it is all about timing. But what you need is in the recruitment space, you need to be able to demonstrate that you've got contracted revenue that is there for a duration. And all our contracts were new; they all had longevity on them. But like I said, we were looking at private equity to make it bigger. It was only that really, that we hit we managed to get a deal that was just over and above the market.
So you came to the end of it. All three of you sort of shook hands, had to open a big bottle of champagne you sort of laid on the floor, did some angels in the cash.
We went to Wetherspoon's pub for a pint of cider because that was the only thing that was open. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, before we move on to Neptune, one of the things I've got to ask you, actually, because I'm always curious about this, are there any other sort of local entrepreneurs, not your mates now, well, it could be your mates, but other entrepreneurs that you admire their business and you think, God, he's done a great job. Do you know what I mean? So,
I think in
Gloucestershire,
there's plenty of people I think that have done very, very well. I think what Bob Holt did to Mia's back in the day and what he created is just exceptional. I mean, that's kind of off the scale. I take my hat off to Superdry, Julian. I think he's a true entrepreneur. He knew he had a bit of luck, like you need in any business, really, and like you need to build a business, but you can't take that away from Gloucestershire. I think he's created something. He created something that was very special, and there's what I love about Gloucestershire is it's full of really interesting businesses. You've got the Eco Trinity with the wind farms. You've got Bob Holt with his Mia's and what he did there. You've got Superdry. It's full of a huge amount of success, really. And you've got some fantastic people in Gloucestershire. You look at the GCHQ and the talent that goes into there. You look at GE and the aerospace sector there. It's full of talent, but there's some really great great custom people that I believe have built very, very good businesses, you know, and have done very well.
I couldn't agree with you more, actually. I think we're very blessed. I'm very blessed doing Punchline Talks because we get to meet people like yourself and talk to lots of people, which is great. So that, and also I get the opportunity to get a few free samples. So you're very nice. Steve popped round. I'll just put them here.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big rum drinker. The last time I had rum was on a Belizean beach when I was in the Air Force in 1988. I do tend to talk about the Air Force a lot in these things, by the way. Anyway, so I'm gonna open this up. I'm gonna open this up now. I think one of us got a glass inside.
Okay.
Isn't this one here? Because I haven't tried it. So this is the Barbados Gold. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Neptune Rum then? I don't get yours there.
So Neptune Rum came across me as an opportunity, really. I followed Neptune Rum back in 2018, and it was founded by a guy in Cheltenham, actually, and he always wanted to develop a rum. He went across the equator. That's where he got the word Neptune, and he developed this liquid that actually became the world's most awarded rum in 2018-19. So that the liquid itself comes from Foursquare in Barbados, and Foursquare in Barbados, which is one of the world's most recognised distilleries, and he managed to persuade Foursquare that he wanted the liquid in the brand of Neptune Rum. So it's a blend of 3, 5, and 8 golden rum. And as a result, you know, and it went into lots of awards and won lots of awards. The green one there is the Neptune Rum Caribbean Spiced. Again, this is very unique because it's 100% rum in it. If you can smell that, it's delicious.
I'm going to open it up now because, wow, that's very nice. I am going to actually have a bit. I can't drink too much because, but I'll toast you, by the way, which is so I'll have a little bit of this.
Yeah. So which one have you got?
So this is the Caribbean Spiced.
Yeah. So this is very unique because it's 100%. It's 100% rum. Firstly, in spice rum's generally not 100% rum. It's a blend of Papiana, Damiana, vanilla, and cinnamon, and it's got no added sugar in it. So that makes it, in the rum sector, a very unique drink. So if you smell it, it smells very Christmassy, actually.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Just get my hat on.
And actually, before I ever got involved in rum, and I actually didn't drink a lot of rum, to be honest. I really liked the brand and I really liked what it represents. So Neptune Rum, you know, there is obviously God of the sea is Neptune, and what they've done is they've done a lot of projects to protect the ocean. So they created almost a charity with a reference to Guardians of the Ocean, and they're supporting projects that protect pollution in the sea, really. And what, you know, the one that's running at the moment is we're looking at putting 15 freshwater taps around the coastal beaches, which is obviously to prevent bottles going in the sea. There's been a huge amount of work done from Exeter University around, by having freshwater taps on the beach, you will prevent the bins overflowing and plastic going into the sea, and doing it. So the whole story behind Neptune is fantastic. They raised an awful lot of money through a crowd fund, and they then invested quite a lot of money into travel retail, and obviously the travel retail market last October, obviously due to COVID, business got into a lot of trouble and it went into administration, and Ray and I bought the business in June.
Who did the phone call to who? Did you phone up Ray and say, hey Ray, I've got this crazy idea, do you want to come in with me?
Yeah, well, I've been following Neptune Rum because through the corporate team, and obviously a few people locally in Cheltenham, and you know, I like the brand. I think it's got a great story. I think it's very well represented. It's got a nice distribution. It's got a really good following. And I basically said to Ray, "Listen, are you up for a bit of fun to try and go and buy a rum brand?" So if you taste that, it's actually, if you don't like rum, then you'll be very surprised at what that tastes like.
Yeah, that is really, really nice, actually. It's a bit, I can feel it on my cheeks.
Thank you for that.
Straight off. That's yeah, it's very, very nice. It's got a, I was expecting it to be more brandy-ish.
Exactly.
But it's not that. It's more of a kind of whiskey. I'm not a big whiskey fan, but it's not a whiskey.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So, you know, you can drink it neat. It's very tasty.
Well, I'm drinking it neat, yes.
Yeah. And you know, rum is the new gin. So rum is, they say, you know, I am told. And if you look at all of the
good job you're in the gin in the rum in the rum business rather than the gin.
Look at all of the spirits news around the world, and particularly around Europe, and particularly in the UK, rum is the new gin. So, but I think it's, and I kind of understand that, although I find it hard to believe, because, you know, you need ladies that drink rum, really. So, you know, it's interesting. So that, you know, if you take that as the Caribbean spiced, and I don't know whether you fancy having a taste of the gold.
I better not, actually, because I'll be all right. I'll
just a little taste.
I'll just get a different glass. There we go. I'll get a different glass. Okay. The worst thing of all is that we're running out of time.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to open this one as well. So this is, that's the same one. Yeah. I'll be sitting in my office here, just talking gibberish to myself.
You only need a little sip.
Oh, hold on, can't get it. It goes to show I haven't done any pre-prep here.
All right. You opened it. Okay.
No, I didn't want to try anything beforehand. I didn't want to prejudice my. Okay.
So that smells very different.
Yeah, it's very different.
Now this is, you know, it's not premium. It's a kind of upper end of the.
Oh, that's, to me, that's a lot stronger.
Yeah.
That's more like a whiskey.
Yeah. So the Neptune Caribbean is 37.5%, and this one is 40%. So wow. If you're a connoisseur in rum, they love gold. If you're, you know, if you like a rum spice rum, then this is why they believe that you know, both are very, very good, but the more popular will always be spiced, right? Because that's just open up to a bigger market at the moment.
Yeah, I also think it's because it's less whiskey-ish.
Yeah,
you know, not that it is whiskey, because I'm not a big whiskey fan.
Really tasty.
Very, yeah.
And you know, both are really good. I love the gold with ginger ale. I like the Neptune Rum with a Fever Tree Cola, because it's got a hint of vanilla in it. And then, of course, you know, the other thing about rum is it's the biggest cocktail market in the UK. You know, more cocktails are made from a rum base than they are made from any other spirit. Well,
I think Mrs. Owen and I were having lots of fun cocktail making with the rest of with the rest of the Owen clan over Christmas, I'm sure. As we all get together. James, it's been really, really great to talk to you. One of the things I always like to say at the end of these talks with all the entrepreneurs and business people I make, sir, can you give us your 3 top tips for business, please?
I think, very good question, actually. In terms of number 1, cash is king. You need to look after your cash flow, particularly at the moment, and this pandemic that we're going through. But, you know, all the time, look at what you've got as cash availability and cash flow. The second has to be, for me, it has to be people. Surrounding yourself by a good team, making sure you can trust them, and creating that exciting culture within the people that you work with and employ. and doing things that are different and motivating them and getting the best results out of your staff, really, and out of your people. And then I think the third one for me is compliance. You know, you need to run a very compliant organization, you know, and as legislation changes, adapt to those changes in legislation, and ensure that the business is always in a compliant, running from a compliant perspective, because it will catch you out at some point. And those are my three. Those are my big three, really, in terms of how to make a successful business.
James, thank you ever so much for joining us today. I said that slightly slurry.
Yeah.
Great to meet you at long last. Great to talk to you, and thanks for talking to Punchline Talks. See you again soon.
Thank you very much.